Jerusalem, the beginning of the first millennium. The high priest Caiaphas lies dying. Could it be that his last request was to be buried with 2 nails from an act that haunted him? The crucifixion of Jesus. Did Caiaphas, one of the most vilified characters in Christianity, regret what he had done? The discovery of a tomb in Jerusalem and 2 nails may hold the key to a new take on a 2,000-year-old villain and reveal one of Christianity's greatest relics. Jerusalem, 1990. A significant archaeological discovery goes largely unnoticed.
It just happened by chance. They were expanding a peace park area, and a tractor hit the top of the tomb. But at first glance, this just looks like a really normal first-century tomb.
Inside, they find a few artifacts, bones, and 12 limestone burial boxes called ossuaries. The tomb is emptied, but then something unique catches the archaeologist's attention that sets this tomb apart. The name Caiaphas appears inscribed on a very ornate ossuary. After months of careful examination, archaeologists agree that this is the bone box of the man who, according to the Gospels, sent Jesus to the cross.
He is the high priest. Caiaphas has a very big and usually very negative role as a man who masterminded Jesus' death. If you look at movies about Jesus, you've almost always got Caiaphas there yelling, crucify him, and, lobbying for this guy's death and, whipping up the crowd so that everybody will really be shouting for it. He is the villain of the piece.
But there is another view of Caiaphas. Historian Helen Bond has spent much of her career examining the life of this prominent high priest. She takes me to a church which, according to Christian tradition, is built where Caiaphas once lived. Since Caiaphas was also a judge, one would expect to find holding cells under his home. And indeed, that's precisely what archaeologists have uncovered. Jesus could have been held right here the night he was arrested.
The Gospels tend to caricature the high priest. He's shown as jealous of Jesus. He's completely corrupt. The whole trial narrative in Mark's Gospel, for example, is a kangaroo court. It's a terrible picture of a Jewish high priest that comes over. It's a long way from historical accuracy. And the reason for that, I think, is that all of the Gospels are written at the end of the 1st century, at a time when Christians and Jews are starting to go their separate ways. And so in a way, Caiaphas is sort of a victim of this. He becomes caught up in all of this negativity and portrayed in a very negative way. And I think Caiaphas has suffered because of that. There's nobody particularly interested in rehabilitating him.
So which view is right? Was Caiaphas a bad guy or a good guy? I wanted to find out, so I went to the archaeological archives and found something very unusual. Some items discovered in the tomb went unreported. Specifically, 2 Roman nails. I couldn't believe when I saw that in the archaeological report they had found 2 nails. We're talking about 2 Roman-era nails in the tomb of Caiaphas. They even found 1 nail inside an ossuary. What do you make of a nail in an ossuary?
At all sites, anywhere in Jerusalem, I've dug right here in Jerusalem, we find 10 nails a day. But we're not in a Jewish tomb. We're in a residential area like this. I'm sure many nails were found right behind me when this was excavated. But if there's a nail in the ossuary, then it opens another possibility, that there's some sort of superstition going on here. The belief attested in a number of sources that a crucifixion nail has a great magical power to ward off evil, to ward off bad luck, maybe to help you in the afterlife.
מקורות חז"ל מאפשרים ליהודים להסתובב בשבת עם כמה חפצים שיש להם כוח מיסטי לרפא. אחד מהם זה מסמר מצליבה. אבל מה שכן ברור זה שלמצמרים מצליבה יש כוח מיסטי ויהודים נורמטיביים מכירים בו. אדם לוקח איתו מסמרים לקבר בגלל שיש להם הרבה מאוד משמעות לגביו, במיוחד בקונטקסט של קבורה.
Is it possible that Caiaphas regretted turning Jesus over to the Romans and took the crucifixion nails with him to his grave? I wanted to see the nails for myself, but was informed by the Israel Antiquities Authority that the nails had been misplaced.
They lost them. Like, how could it be that you find nails in the tomb of a man associated with nothing but crucifixion, and you lose them?
So I decided to try to find them in the archives and related laboratories.
Part of me said you'll never find them, but part of me said maybe if you doggedly pursue the evidence, you'll hit pay dirt.
Hearing about my investigation, renowned anthropologist Professor Israel Herskovich invites me to his lab. This is the address for bones and nails associated with bones found on archaeological digs. It turns out he's only received 2 matching Roman-era nails together once.
So these are the nails?
Yes, these are the 2 nails from Jerusalem that arrived to the lab more than 15 years ago.
The fact that they're bent this way, would this be consistent with crucifixion?
It could be.
Why would they bend the nail?
If you put a nail through the palm of the hand, you can easily free the hand. But if you put a nail through the palm of the hand and then you stick it to the wood, by actually bending the nail, the palm of the hand are attached firmly to the crossbar.
So the fact they're bent is more consistent with crucifixion than if you saw them straight?
Yes, I would say so.
The archaeological report does not specify in which ossuary the nails were found. If the nails were found inside the Caiaphas bone box, they would have left traces of iron in the ossuary. I now turn for help from geoarchaeologist Dr. Aryeh Shimron. Dr. Shimron goes to the Israel Museum, where the Caiaphas ossuary is now on permanent display. He collects samples from inside the bone box.
Oh, that's nice stuff.
And we go to a state-of-the-art nano lab to examine the fragments under a scanning electron microscope, which can magnify up to 500,000 times. We're looking for traces of iron on material from inside the Caiaphas ossuary.
Whoa, look at this and say, wow, wow, wow.
Fe, iron.
Amazingly, Dr. Shimron finds slivers of iron from inside the ossuary, and these match the nails.
The nails under this kind of magnification look exactly like this. Also compositionally and texturally. This is the texture of the nails.
Let me get this straight. You have found inside the Caiaphas ossuary a piece of iron.
Not a piece, many pieces of iron oxide with a texture strongly suggesting the texture of the nails, which means that these are little, almost certainly, tiny fragments from nails. It is very, very powerful evidence that we have tiny pieces from the nails inside ossuary number 6.
So, I mean, this is a smoking gun.
This is a smoking gun, of course.
So if the nails were used in the crucifixion, and if Caiaphas took them with him to the grave, is it possible that Caiaphas wasn't an enemy of Jesus, but a sympathizer?
There's a very interesting document that dates from the 6th century, possibly earlier, It's preserved in an Arabic source. And this is an amazing document because it starts off by saying that this is the book of the high priest, the one called Caiaphas. So it's a book that's allegedly written by the high priest Caiaphas.
He's the bad guy.
He was the bad guy. He was implicated with Pontius Pilate at the trial of Jesus. But he says in this document about Jesus, this is the one whom we adore. This is the one who for our sakes became incarnate. This is the one who for our sakes redeemed us and who has blessed us with everlasting compassion. This is the high priest, the Jewish high priest, one of the two most powerful leaders in Judea of the time, presented as speaking with a Christian voice.
Caiaphas was caught between a rock and a hard place. What Caiaphas cares about, according to the Gospel of John, is the security of the people, the survival of the people. And that is the highest principle for him. So if Rome is going to destroy the temple, destroy the people, because there is unrest and a crowd forming around a particular individual, well, you gotta do what you gotta do.
The evidence suggests that we got Caiaphas all wrong. That the man we thought he was no villain. He was in a very difficult situation. At the end of the day, somebody placed 2 crucifixion nails in his ossuary among his bones. Okay? Maybe it's someone else who was crucified, but historically we only associate Caiaphas with only one man, and that is Jesus.
The evidence suggests that these nails came from Caiaphas's tomb and from Caiaphas's ossuary. They could be witnesses to the fact that Caiaphas has been wrongly blamed for Jesus' crucifixion. But are they linked to Jesus? If they are, they could be 2 of the most significant archaeological artifacts ever found.